Okay, welcome. This is my first video, so don't expect much, but I'm just going to go over the photo presets I use for when I go to take photos of some of my cars in Forza Horizon 5. So I have two maps I'm going to show you, and also one person's gamer tag that makes very good maps. I've tested most of them and they're all very good. There is some maps that have ×2 gravity. Those maps have the ×2 gravity because it makes your car lower, even if you already have your suspension set to the lowest, which some people like, but most people that have those maps also have an option without ×2 gravity. So the first car I'm going to be taking a photo of for the video's sake is the Donut Media Formula Drift 240 SX. So the map I'm going to use is here. I'm going to be using this one, Cliff Mansion ×2 gravity. Yeah, that's the right one. This car. So most of the time on these maps, I don't change the starting point of the race, so you usually have to drive a tiny bit to get to the actual map, but it's usually not that far, so yeah, it's nothing much. On some of these maps they use interesting props, like on this one, the background to the left of my car right now, those are actually skill boards, so you need to be careful not to go too fast, but most of the time it's fine. So with this one, even on this one you could probably take some nice photos on this ramp, but usually if you go into the actual photo room it's a lot nicer. So there you go, there's my angle. So sometimes there's these bars like that you can use to like sort of fit your car between. Sometimes give a cool effect, although sometimes it doesn't work. So I have a preset saved, which is this one. Most of the time, so the shutter speed 0, focus mode, panning, lots of these I just used to, I keep these the same, except most of the time, depending on the photo, I would change the exposure. So with this one, I might up the exposure a bit, so I can then turn around and maybe get the mountains in the background in. That might be a good angle, maybe a bit higher. So you sort of want to find a nice angle that has, like, I usually have the car in like the bottom middle, which means there's lots of space up near the top for like the environment to show. Like in this map there's some nice mountain in the background. Lots of the time I use Xbox game bar to take a quick photo of it with the UI hidden, so it's easier for me to access later without the watermark. But then I'll go and save the photo. Sometimes takes some time to process. Okay, there you go. Just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna just take one more photo with a bit of a different background. So, right. There we go. That should do it. I also like using leaves to sort of like hide the car between them. Although sometimes the leaves like these ones aren't very realistic, so it looks a bit weird sometimes, so lots of the time I don't really end up using it. But just for an example, here's like one with the car in between the railing. Maybe lower the exposure. So you sort of want to get the exposure in a spot where you get like some nice dark shadows in the spot where there's no details. But then like where the car is and the surrounding area, you want to still be able to see clearly. So with this spot, 79 seems to be a good number. Let's quickly take a screenshot. My internet has been a bit slow today, so it might take a while to load sometimes. So I just get one more photo through this area with build speed, just so I can get a bit of a blur in the background. Also, sometimes when you're going fast, it doesn't really give it blur unless you change the shutter speed. I think it's shutter speed. Yeah, so the shutter speed usually adjusts like the blur of like the car or the surrounding area. Lots of time if you really want like a proper blur background, or like maybe what oh crap, where was this again? It was definitely over here. Maybe if I change. Oh yeah, you need to set the panning mode to tracking and turn the shutter speed up if you want the background to be blurred when your car's moving. For instance, here when you leave the camera still, you can see the background blurs but the car stays focused. But usually if you set the focus mode to panning, you can get some nice looking photos from my experience at least. So this one, maybe get a bit more of the surrounding area. Maybe if I can fit the car in there. There you go, that's a pretty nice angle. I also noticed if you're focusing on like the front or the back of the car, make sure you're not cutting off like one of the headlights or one of the blinkers or one of those parts, because it then sometimes looks a bit out of place, in my opinion at least. So I usually try and keep like the front or the back of the car completely visible in the photo, and then might sometimes use the props to add some detail to the side of the car where there might not be as much detail otherwise. Most of the photos I've taken you can find on my profile. I'll show you my gamer tag later. So, yep, that's pretty much it for this map. After this, I'll move on to the next one. Just quickly get to the finish line. Okay. Just skip through the dialogue. Oh, and the cinematics. Okay, here we go. Okay, next map. Okay. This next one is Modern Photo Room 2.0. Another very good one is this one, Modern Studio. Although this person, Drift ZE95, they're also known as Andy Media on TikTok. They make some very good maps and share some good photos on there. So definitely go and have a look. That's where I get most of the maps I use. They also sometimes show maps that other people have made, but majority of the maps on their page is maps they've created. So for this map, I'm going to use the Subaru BRZ with the wide body kit. So most of the time, if your car has bright colours like this one, I usually would go for a photo with like a more plain background, like the one, or sort of like this one I'm about to show you. Or if your car is a bit more plain, go for a photo room with an interesting background and bright colours, so there's still some detail to look at. So lots of time there's like spots like this that you can put the camera in using like the flowers, but I'm just trying to focus in on one part of the car and make that like the main subject for a photo. So I'm pretty happy with this angle. The exposure also looks pretty good. Okay, also in this map you can get on top of this railing. If you go over here to the corner, you can sort of like jump up onto the top. You can get some nice photos through the railing, like maybe this one through the lights. Right, maybe this way. There you go. You sometimes want to get like an extra part of the environment sort of in the foreground in front of your car, because that sort of like borders off an area where the car is going to be, which is where it will draw people's attention from what I've seen, and it usually means you see more of the detail that's in that small area. Okay, oh crap. I might quickly change the angle of the car so I can get a photo of the front. Maybe in a different part of this map. Also, lots of these maps use very small props like the pot plants that you can actually break if you're going too fast. So I usually try and feather the throttle. There we go. That might be a nice angle. Also, usually if you're wanting to get like the front of the car, you should probably push it up close against some of the props, and then because then you can zoom out and you'll still see the front nicely, but the props behind it won't be too big. This might be a nice angle up here. Down a little bit. Let's not zoom out. Okay. For this one, I might turn off drivers. There you go. That's pretty good. It's sometimes difficult to take nice photos of drift cars because when the tyres slide, they leave tyre marks on the ground that will show up in your photos, which in my opinion sometimes look messy, but if you get the right photo angle, you don't really notice them much. From this map, I noticed if you sit with the exposure around like 75 to 80, that's usually good for most of the photos in here, not really depending on the angle much. So maybe I recommend like with each map, like saying like a baseline exposure that you would probably use most of the time. Like with this one, mine will probably be around 80, whereas with the one I did previously, my baseline for that would probably be like 95 to 100. And if you keep going somewhere near that, you'll most of the time be getting pretty good photos that you can slightly change the other effects based off, which I notice usually helps a lot. You sort of have a baseline to look at, and you can sort of go up and down on that depending on the way the light reflects off the car and other things like that. So that's basically all I wanted to make this video about. I might be posting another one later about drifting. I have a pretty big drift car collection in this game, and I think I'm decent, so I might be able to give some sort of explanation. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time I post, hopefully. Thank you.